All right, video guys, News Day Tuesday. Today's show is all about hard drives, external hard drives. I was at the PhotoPlus show at the Javits Center, and the week before that I was at NEB New York at the Javits Center. I spent some time in the G-Tech booth, I spent some time in the LaCie booth, I spent some time in the Sony and the Glyph booths. And one of the things that I noticed was a lot of people came up and they didn't just have questions about the drives, they had questions about how do I properly maintain my drives? What's the optimum way to get the longest life out of my drives? And in general, what's the life of an external hard drive? Well, the external drives we sell tend to come with a 5-year warranty, which is really great, but that's not a guarantee. It means if the drive fails before 5 years, you can get a replacement, but drives do fail, folks. So that's one of the things I want to talk about is regardless of what drive company you buy from, right now, the industry is consolidated. The guys on the bottom, Toshiba, Maxstar, IBM, they're really not in the business anymore. It's all Western Digital and Seagate are the main ones. Hitachi's also out there. I should have put them in the bundle. We sell the external hard drives from G-Tech, LaCie, Glyph, and also Sony. Hard drives sometimes fail. What I want to tell you is that the story that I always hear from people is, oh, that hard drive failed, this brand failed, I'll never buy this brand again. Well, if your story's kind of recent, within the last year or two, I get it. But if you're talking about a 5 or a 10-year-old hard drive, you just stop with that. There's so much technology that's come with helium drives and bigger technologies that you can't hold a drive company responsible for something that happened to a drive 5 years ago. There's massive consolidation in the industry. The factories are rebuilt. We had flooding in Thailand that wiped out, this was about 5-6 years ago, wiped out a lot of the drive production in the industry. It created all kinds of ripples, and it created all kinds of shortages, but it also created a better industry in the end because it was consolidated and people were making stuff better. So one of the things that I want to talk about now is just what's the best practices with your hard drive. So let's go into the next slide and talk about heat. Heat is the enemy of your hard drive. You need to make sure that you store your drives in a cool place, like a cool dark closet, but more importantly, you've got to really make sure that you have adequate air circulation around your drive. These external drives all have fans in them. You can see the fan back here, but if you have the drive backed up against a wall or in a very tight enclosure where the air can't circulate, or you've got books or sweatshirts on them or whatever, you're going to kill the life of your hard drive, folks. So we want to keep our hard drives cool. And you know what? Today's show is just really about hard drives, but I want to stress that this is even more important for solid state drives, SSDs. As SSDs get hotter, their performance can fall down to a fifth or a tenth of what they are, depending on what the drives are on the drive specs. And we'll do an SSD show later. Today's show is about hard drives, external hard drives. When they heat up, they get slower, they become less reliable, so make sure you have proper air circulation around your drives. Next thing I want to talk about is proper hard drive storage and operation. Guys, make sure your hard drive's on a flat surface. It could be facing this way, it could be facing this way, that's okay, but it's got to be perpendicular to the ground. I've seen people store their drives in a closet, and they're like laid up on top of each other or something like this, and they kind of wonder why all of a sudden their drives don't work when they had them on. Why? Because the heads are in there and they're very sensitive. When you've got your drives on an angle, there's always a chance that the heads can get misaligned or bang into something, especially while they're operating. I'm not talking about a laptop drive. I'm talking about these external hard drives that you want to get the best use, best life out of. They've got to be big. They've got to be strong. And that's what the hard drives we sell are. In fact, can we cut to the camera of the hard drives? I just want to talk a little bit about the hard drives that we have on the shelf here and what differentiates some of them from the other ones. So this is like a single drive, the LaCie orange drives. You see them everywhere. They're in the Apple stores. They're all over the place. This is the iconic drive for someone just wanting a rugged external drive. That's a single drive unit. We have external single drive units, but I want to really focus more on the RAIDs that are out there. You've got the LaCie Big Dock RAIDs. You've got the G-Tech G RAIDs. Then you've got the G-Tech G cells. You've got the LaCie Big 6 and Big 12. These are the more movable drives. This is a Sony rugged external drive that we really like. This is a Glyph single drive. But I want to talk about these drives in general as a category, and we're going to talk about maintenance. Let's bring the camera back to this camera, and let's talk about maintaining your hard drives. These are real important tips, and we can bring this up full screen for a second. I recommend that every 6 months you power up your drive. Now, what does that mean? Maybe the drive's sitting in a closet. You want to power up the drive and make sure it's running. You want to copy a large test file from your desktop to your external drive. You want to make a note of how long it took, what was going on. You want to play or open the file from your external drive to make sure it still opens up. So take a video file. Maybe it's a 10-second video file. And then what you also want to do is cut and paste the video from your external drive to your computer. And the reason I want to do all these 3 steps is each one's very important. So the first thing is when a drive's sitting on a shelf doing nothing, it could freeze up, things can get in there. So you want to just make sure you powered it up. Then why I want to copy the file from my desktop over is I want to see is the copying going as smoothly as it does. If I'm seeing the beach ball, if I'm hearing noises, if stuff's going on, that tells me something's going on with the drive. I then want to play the file from the external drive to make sure it works. Now, I'm saying video files because that's what we are here. We're all video people, but you could open a big Excel sheet too if you wanted to for a test on this. And then the final thing I want to do is cut and paste the drive from the hard drive that it's on, the external hard drive, to the new one. The reason I like to do a cut and paste is that makes sure that we're just doing the read function of the drive from the machine to come back. So let's talk about hard drives. There are signs of hard drive failure that happen, and I want to talk about these because it's real important that we get them. The first one is that clickety-click, clickety-click, clickety-click. If your drive's clicking, bam, you got a problem. Next, whir, whir, whir. If your drive's making these whirring noises. Finally, if it's all of a sudden sounding like a plane taking off, zoom, when you try to take data over, or if you're just copying files and you're getting the beach ball or you're getting the hourglass. These are all signs that your hard drive is in peril. So let's talk about this because it's important. Hard drives don't fail out of nowhere. People always say, I don't know what was going on. My hard drive suddenly stopped working. It didn't. It was giving you clues. It was letting you know it was going to give up the ghost. And when you hear those signs of hard drive failure, the first most important thing you got to do is back up that drive. You don't have to back it up to a new drive. The key here is to save your data. So I'll find any drive you have that's got that level of capacity and start copying the files you need to save over. If your drive's clickety-click clicking, whirring, zooming, or you're getting hourglasses and you're getting that beach ball all the time, and you don't copy the file over and you watch this video, you got no one to blame but yourself, buddy. I've been warning you. I've given you clear warning. Drives don't fail out of nowhere. They give you clues that something's going on, and it's up to you to protect your data. So once again, strange noises such as clicking or humming, files that take longer to open or close, repeated program crashes or disk errors, frequent error messages while running software, and overall strange behavior, all signs that something's wrong with your drive. All right, I want to switch gears a little bit because people always ask me, sorry for the cough, folks. What speed drives do we need on an external drive? So give me one sec. First and foremost, the drives you see here, the drives we sell and we specialize in at Video Guys, they all have 7,200 RPM enterprise class drives in them. That's critically important, folks. The enterprise class drives are made for being constantly on, constantly hit on, constantly reading and writing data. They also have settings in them that make them RAID more efficiently, so the spinning of one drive doesn't affect the spinning of the other. So it's important to have 7,200 RPM drives in your external enclosures. If you're buying external enclosures that don't have 7,200 RPM drives and you're editing video, you're making a mistake. That's the way we call it. That's the way we see it. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. What kind of hard drive speeds do you need? Well, a single drive will get you 250 megabytes per second nowadays, and that's okay for HD video. And that drive can be attached via USB 3, USB-C, or any version of Thunderbolt. You're going to get great performance. For 4K compressed, that's where we're going with DNX or ProRes 4K compressed. We recommend 400 plus megabytes per second. For that, you're probably going to need 2 drives striped together as a minimum in a RAID. And once again, that connectivity, if it's USB 3, USB-C, or any of the Thunderbolts, that pipe is bigger than the throughput that a 2-drive solution will give you. Now, if you're going to get into 4K ProRes RAW, that's a new format that was announced by Apple and Atomos. That's leaving you much higher, bigger files. And for that, you're going to need at least 500 megabytes per second. So when you're getting into those, even a 2-drive unit's only going to work if it's, really fast Thunderbolt 3 level stuff. If you're going to go 500, we're really going to recommend you get into a stack of like 4 drives or 6 or 8 drives or SSDs. And if you're going to go 4K uncompressed, that's 800 megabytes per second. So you're going to want an external drive that's giving you a Thunderbolt connectivity, Thunderbolt 2 or Thunderbolt 3. Now, if you have a drive that's got Thunderbolt 2 or Thunderbolt 3 with other types of connectors, USB-C, you can use them to move data, but you're not going to be able to sustain throughput to really be editing 4K uncompressed footage. Okay, let's talk about what we have next. Connectivity. How do I connect my drives here? Let's bring this picture up full speed for a second so we can see the different things here so you can see what the jacks look like. You got Thunderbolt 1 and 2. You got the little USB-C jack, which looks exactly like the Thunderbolt 3 jack. We're going to get into that in a little bit. And then you have USB 2. Now, I want to just show you like the back of a drive here. So let's cut back to me over here with this drive. I'm going to show you. This is a G-Tech drive that I'm picking up right here. I'm going to try to get it into the camera as best I can. I'm not doing a good job, so let's see. Oh, here we go. So you've got, this drive has Thunderbolt 3 connectivity, and it looks like it's USB-C also, but it isn't. Thunderbolt 3 and Thunderbolt C are very, very different connectors. We're going to go into that a little bit. But first I want to go into something that's the different throughputs you get from the different jacks. So this is a little slide we put together for you guys to see what's up there. So USB 2 was 0.5 gigabytes. FireWire used to be called FireWire 400 and 800, and that was 0.4 or 0.8 gigabytes. We're going back in time, folks. I know it's a walk down memory lane. eSATA, 3 gigabytes. Thunderbolt 1, 10 gigabytes. USB 3, 5 gigabytes. Thunderbolt 2, 20 gigabytes. USB-C running USB, 10 gigabytes. And Thunderbolt 3, 40 gigabytes. So that's a basic walkthrough of the different types of connectors and what connectivity you're going to get from them. But all Thunderbolt is not the same. So Thunderbolt 1 and 2 and Thunderbolt 3, not only are they not the same, they're incompatible on a PC and a Windows solution. If you have a Mac solution, there's an adapter you can get from Mac for about $50 that'll allow you to hook your older stuff up. But in general, make up your mind and get the Thunderbolt that matches the connectivity of your computer is the way to go. Also want to caution everyone that I'm going to go back to this one for a second because I really want to stress something about USB-C and Thunderbolt 3. USB-C and Thunderbolt 3 are not the same jack. So this is the G-Tech drive. In fact, can we focus the LaCie drive? Can we put this camera in the down spot? Let me see if I can do a little better job getting the jacks on there. Okay. Yeah, there you can see it. So I'm going to come around actually, and hopefully I won't choke myself on the battery here, on my mic. Oh, and I tripped on something, of course. So what we've got here is we've got 2 Thunderbolt jacks and a USB-C jack. Now, I'm bringing this up for a real important reason because you can't plug a USB-C computer to a Thunderbolt 3 drive, and if you have a Thunderbolt 3 port on your computer, you can't plug a USB-C drive into it. Now, this gets real confusing, folks, and I apologize for it because the connectors look exactly the same, but they are not the same. And you've really got to be careful about that. Now, what I understand is there's a new chipset coming out in which drives over the next few months will start to be shipping that will have a single port that is Thunderbolt 3 and USB-C, but the current products aren't. So you got to be really careful with that. Why am I talking about this so much? Because I'm a huge fan of Thunderbolt 3. I love the speed that these puppies give you. The problem is you only really get this speed when you have these attached to a Thunderbolt 3 computer. And there just aren't that many Thunderbolt 3 computers out there anymore. So, not yet. So Thunderbolt 3 exists on your MacBooks and your iMacs, but you don't really have it on a Mac Pro. The trash cans don't have it. And on the PC side, you have it on some gaming machines, but even the latest workstations from HP and Dell have Thunderbolt 3 cards that I'm getting mixed reports on how well they work, folks, so I'm not going to sign off on that yet. So that's enough on Thunderbolt and USB-C. Now let's go back and concentrate a little bit on RAID. All right, 2 drive units. You got 2 options. You can go with RAID 0 or RAID 1. RAID 0 gives you 1 big drive, so if it's 2 10 terabyte drives in here, you're going to get 20 terabytes, whereas RAID 1 is going to give you mirroring. So if I have 2 10 terabyte drives in this machine in a mirror, I'm only going to have 10 terabytes of storage, but the mirroring is going to give me 2 copies of my data, so it's completely, I have security, I have redundancy. Speed, much higher speed on RAID 0. I'm not trying to say this drive's faster than this drive, I'm saying RAID 0 is faster than RAID 1. Then when you get into multiple drives, 3 or more, but I actually recommend 4 or more, you get into RAID 5 and RAID 6. Now RAID 5 and RAID 6 on a 4-drive unit uses a parity bit, so some storage gets shared across, as little bits of data across all the other drives. So if I lose a drive on a RAID 5 in a 4-bay solution, I still keep all my data. So let's keep on 10 terabytes. Let's say I have 10 terabytes in this particular configuration. If it gives me 30 terabytes of usable storage, and if one of my drives breaks or fails, I still have all my data. I keep on editing, I do what I'm doing, and then I get that broken drive replaced, send it back to the factory for replacement, rebuild my RAID, get back to my full speed and redundancy, and I'm off and going. This product has 6 drives, and with 6 drives, you can actually, or more drives, you can get into a RAID 6. RAID 6 gives you extra redundancy because you have 2 drives for failure. So if this had 6 10 terabyte drives in it, in a RAID 0, 60 terabytes, no redundancy. In a RAID 5, we could have 50 terabytes with 1 drive for redundancy. In a RAID 6, we'd have 40 terabytes with 2 drives for redundancy. So that's where it goes. RAID 5 is my favorite way to do things. I think you need at least 3 drives for RAID 5. 4 is the best. 6 or 8 works even better. Okay, that was my whole storage spiel, folks. So now I'm going to come back a little bit and I'm going to talk about the different drives that we sell. John Richardson, RAID 0, death rate. You know, I agree with that, John, but I don't. Let's get back to the clickety-clack, bing-bang stuff I showed you. If you've got a RAID 0, it's going to be clicking. It's going to be click, 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 click. It's going to be whir. It's going to be, you're missing it completely. It's going to be click, 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 click. It's going to be whir. It's going to let you know that the drive is going to fail. It doesn't fail out of nowhere. So when you start hearing noises coming out of your RAID 0, back it up, save your data. All right, let's go through the LaCie drives. Rugged RAID Pro, oh, that's what we have on the table. It's a RAID Pro, $329.95 for 4 terabytes. Great product. The rugged RAIDs are always good. LaCie 2 Big Dock. I love these. The 8 terabytes starting at $599, all the way up to the 16, the 20 terabyte at $1099. I love these drives because I love the fact that they have the card reader dock built into them. And they also have the traditional USB slot in them, as well as C and Thunderbolt. Great drive. Love them. Big 6. Starting at $18.99 up to $39.99. Thunderbolt it should be. Okay, let's talk about G-Tech. Oh, this is a great slide. Wish we had this slide earlier in the presentation. Who doesn't have a closet full of hard drives? If you have a closet full of hard drives like this, you want to make sure you're maintaining them and you're testing them. And you also might want to think of backing some of that data into a bigger volume, like a 4 times 10 40 terabyte unit, or 6 times 10 60 terabyte to get more going. So G-RAID, Thunderbolt 3, single USB-C ports, 8 terabytes, $599.95, up to 24 terabytes for $1399.95. Shuttle 4 bays, $17.99 up to $37.99. You can also get the Shuttle 4 bays available in their EV configuration, which we've done some shows on. That's where you have EV readers instead of drives in certain slots. All right, G-Tech also has their Shuttle Excel 8 bay. 8 bays starting at $19.99 all the way up to $47.99 for 60 terabytes. Those are really great drives. I love them. I love how rugged they are. Sony's got the ruggedized RAID. I love this, that it's rugged, that it's got the extra stuff for a guy on the road just looking for 2 drives. 4 terabytes, $399, 12 terabytes, $750. And Glyph's got a whole bunch of products out there, but this is the rugged professional that they have. USB 3, transfer speeds up to 220 megabytes, great for just moving your data around, $139.95 up to $699.95. All right, before we get into the different drives that are out there, I want to once again stress that hard drives don't fail out of nowhere. So if your hard drive starts making that clickety-click-click sound, or the whir, or you're going to get the vroom when all of a sudden you try to copy data, you're going to hear that drive spinning up when it was quiet before. You're starting to get that hourglass. You're starting to get the spinning beach ball pinwheel on an Apple. Guys, that is your drive letting you know that something's going wrong, and that is the time to do what? Back up your data. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right, now let's go to what's coming up in future shows. What do we have planned for us coming up, guys? Because future shows, we got some really great stuff. November 20th, Black Friday show. Our Black Friday sales will go live at 2 o'clock with that show. Very excited about that. November 20th. November 27th, Atomos Workflows. We're going to try to get maybe Jeremy in from Down Under or one of the other guys over at Atomos to give us some little talk about the products. The Ninja 5, the Ninja V is the best-selling product in the industry. It is, if you own a DSLR camera and you're doing 4K shooting and you don't have a Ninja V on your list for Santa to put under your tree, you're missing it, buddy. It is the product to get. And then on December 4th, solutions for government and corporate video production. You know, why are we doing that? Because there's year-end budgets and it's a good chance to scoop up some cool stuff. We'll be talking about stuff that you can use for video production, video post-production, and video streaming, focusing on corporate and government. So that's what we have coming up. Once again, I thank you for watching the show of the tech tips, how to get the most from your video storage. We're getting some questions about shared storage over 1 gig and 10 gig E. I'll get to that, John, on another show. I don't really want to get into shared storage. It's really about attached storage and hard drive maintenance, but we will do a future show. Maybe we'll talk more about the Nexus Pro and the G-Racks and some of our shared storage solutions. This is Gary from Video Guys, stressing that you can always call us. We have live people here to help you, to give you the best advice on what you need to purchase. You can call us at 800-323-2325. We'd be happy to work with you to tell you all about the good stuff that we sell. Hope you enjoyed today's show. Remember, take care of your drives. Heat is the enemy. Keep them cool. Keep them level. And every 6 months or so, give them a test, copy a file, make sure those files play. You won't regret it. It'll optimize and extend the life of your drive as well. This is Gary from Video Guys. Peace.
Video Guys is available Monday through Friday. Give us a call at 1-800-323-2325. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter to stay connected with all of our updates. And you can like us on Facebook. Keep an eye out for our live videos. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.